What's happening, savages? This is Immortal Coil, your future minister of whiskey mysticism. Revolution is my name. And today, we are talking about the SJWs being emboldened by the political climate in America. Now, before we get too hard and put our dick in it, I want to thank you for your support. A like, a share, a subscribe goes a long way, especially for a channel like myself who has been around for a while but is still under 300 subs. Thank you. It's a crazy business, I'll tell you, and the temptation to jump all over every news article as the big channels do is very, very tempting, because I get the same notices that you guys do, and I can dress it up and put a pretty little bow tie on it if I wanted to. But what I try to do is look for patterns in the universe. And once I detect a pattern, that to me is infinitely more interesting than just being the first cop on the beat, copping a feel on the other people beating. 2016 gave us a very unlikely incumbent in Donald Trump. Now, Trump had his own money, his own resources, so he was largely able to go outside of the traditional political loops in order to secure his victory in 2016. Now, our nation, since 1789, has had its share of colorful presidents. Donald Trump might top that list. While the exact presidenting, his policies and his agendas and the way he's comported himself throughout the world have been largely beneficial to the American infrastructure, his very presence incensed something in about half of America because they didn't reflect bodily and philosophically their ideal of a candidate. And for 4 years, we heard his enemies cry and moan and bitch and bellyache to a degree that has heretofore been unrecorded in the annals of human history. Now, I gotta stress, politically, I am an independent. So when I'm making these points, be sure that I'm not wearing blue glasses or red glasses or neckties of any sort. No, I prefer to be unwashed and smelling like bacon and whiskey. In my opinion, the reason why Trump lost the election was not because of his ability to get shit done. This guy is a born and bred CEO. No, his loss had to do more with the fact that he created more enemies than he could contend with, both in his party and outside his party. Being bravios and displaying a large nutsack at all times is something that every man aspires to, but wise men only do so when necessary. Because some people want to lick your nutsack, and other people want to punch your nutsack. And that is what we're dealing with in 2020. So we are staring down the barrel of a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. And I don't even want to say that it's going to be a Biden-Harris administration, because they are going to 25th Amendment Joe Biden within 90 days. I guarantee it. And then we're going to have Kamala Harris as a first female president and Nancy Pelosi as a second female vice president. Good fucking luck. That is not the three-way that I've always dreamed of. And people who enjoy low interest rates and shooting for sport best come to terms with the choices that America has made. Now, what does this mean for the fandom menace? Well, it means that the people we have been battling nigh on since 2016 before we were vocal, have been emboldened by the political climate. And what that means is that because they feel like their guy is in office, their guy, they feel no compunction about pulling all the punches. They're very vicious online. They are essentially doing the same thing that they accused us of doing, except because now they're in a position of power, much like the characters from Mad Seasons above. They feel like they're justified, and they feel like they got spanked, so they're going to spank back in return, much like a deranged freshman senior dynamic. Well, what else can we do except rise above and point out logical fallacies? The first thing that I saw from famous SJWs was AOC willing to weigh in on the debate over Tuvix. In Star Trek Voyager Season 2, Episode 24, a transporter accident led to a merging between Security Chief Tuvok and the ship's chef, Neelix, creating a being called Tuvix, and AOC wants to debate. Okay, I'll give you brownie points for picking a good episode, but you're dancing on moral high ground here. The big moral question is, do we take this composite being and kill it, or do we separate him out into its constituent parts? Well, AOC, I don't know if you picked this episode to show geek credentials, or if you actually care, or if you just want to stir up the hornet's nest, but Star Trek has proven over and over again that there is actually a third option where you can create 3 beings out of the matter replicator and have Tuvok and Neelix and Tuvix be its own thing, and send Tuvix off on a shuttlecraft to explore the galaxy on its own. The second example I'm going to cite is this ongoing feud between comic artist Pro Secrets, Ethan Van Sciver, and the internet tweetdom over their target audience of Star Wars. Now, in my heart of hearts, I believe that George Lucas wasn't targeting the male demographic specifically. I think he was just trying to tell a compelling story along the lines of J.R.R. Tolkien and William Shakespeare, where they're weaving a mythological narrative which necessarily incorporates many characters over a broad spectrum in order to bring about growth and maturity in an idiot, much like the tarot card The Fool, going through the ringer to become the magician. Then we have Anita Sarkeesian, who doesn't believe that female Mandalorians deserve tits. Fucking deplorable. Now, I have known many a busty woman, beautiful busty women, who tell me that their mammary glands are very sensitive to impact, which is why you have to be gentle with them. It would only make sense that if you were in a combat situation that you would want your girls to be protected. Now, that doesn't mean that you need seductive breast armor with nipples, but that does mean that you want your breast tissue protected from, I don't know, rocket blasts, laser blasts, lightsabers, anything that could damage them. Because, let's face it, breasts are meant to be cuddled and hugged and squeezed and kissed. Now, your crime, Sarkeesian, was trying to equate breast armor as some sort of ineffective masturbatory idol instead of its practical, real-world use. And when this was pointed out to you, you didn't say, "Oh, I see your point." You doubled down, you cried harder, and you made yourself the weeping willow that we all have known you to be. Now, the last thing I want to touch on before we bid you adieu is this thing about Gina Carano. And I've seen so many articles that say Mandalorian fans demand the firing of Gina Carano for her conduct online. Well, no, it's not Mandalorian fans. It might be Mandalorian weirdos, but in Gina Carano, you have everything that SJWs have been crying for since 2016. You got a strong female who can kick male ass. She's pretty, she's uncompromising, she has depth of character, you can see her emotions on her face. A real woman, forced to deal with the fucking situation that life handed her. She toughened up, she doesn't take shit. She might be a fine mother. But that's not enough, because despite how great her character has been written, the actress who plays her does not fit in the SJW sandbox. So they are castrating her. Yes, castrating her. Now, this is about as agenda as it gets. When I'm saying, and the Fandom Menace is saying, that they're trying to role swap men and women. Now, I'm not saying that there's not gentle and caring males or kick-ass females, but when you're saying that every man needs to bow down and kowtow to the matriarchy, and every female needs to be as ass-kicking and cigar-smoking as General Patton, well, you got yourselves a dichotomy there, don't you? The simple truth is that as incarnate beings, we are imperfect and we seek balance. We're born with a set of circumstances and characteristics that both hinder us and help us. And it's up to us, with our heart and our mind and our spirit, to balance these inefficacies and become a superior human being and help shape the world for the little eyes that look upon us. Now, I can't tell you how to do that, but if you take a piece of advice from the Jedi and quiet the mind, the truth will come to you.